Good morning. This is Danielle Beach at Beach-Oswald Immigration Law. Today we're going to talk about a topic that's very dear to my heart and one that I do a lot for clients. If you've been here more than 10 years and you've never been in trouble with the law and you've never been arrested or put in cancellation of removal, this is the talk you want to listen to because this is for you. So, to start with, the very most important thing to remember is that this relief, you cannot just fill out an application and apply through immigration. You must go through the immigration court to get this relief, which means you must be in removal. That means that you have to go before a judge who would grant it. And if there are two of you, a husband and wife, who are applying, you would have separate applications and the relief is granted individually. This relief is not granted derivatively, only individually. What do you need to qualify? First of all, you have to have been here 10 years, and that 10 years must be continuous, which means you can't have breaks, meaningful breaks, such as no more than 90 days and no more than a total of 180 days during that period of time during the 10 years. You also have to, you can prove that with taxes, leases, birth of children. There's many, many ways to prove that, and I like to prove every single year that you've been here. The second thing that you have to prove is good moral character. Good moral character is something that meets the Sniff test. It means that you have to be a person that is regarded in the community by community standards as generally ethical. That's very difficult to define, so talk to a lawyer. If you have traffic tickets, that's not going to affect it. But if you have DUIs, that could affect it, especially if you have two or more. A new case just came out last year called Castillo-Perez that says if you have two or more, it's a rebuttable presumption, and it can be very difficult to qualify for good moral character if you have DUIs. The other thing to remember is not all crimes would necessarily be a good moral character violation, but probably most crimes or arrests are going to be. So talk to someone who knows about that. The third thing you have to have is you have to have a qualifying relative. So a qualifying relative means a spouse who is a U.S. citizen or permanent resident, a child who is a U.S. citizen or permanent resident, or parent, mother or father, who is a U.S. citizen or permanent resident. Now, we could get into sidebars on that, such as, does a step-parent qualify? Does a stepchild qualify? Yes, in many situations, that could qualify if that person is being taken care of by you, the applicant. So how do you prove exceptional and extremely unusual hardship? Well, the one factor that is probably the most significant is that you must prove that you have some kind of medical problem to the qualifying relative. So that means the child, the parent, or the spouse may have some medical problem. I've done it with asthma, allergies, hyperthyroidism, other different IEP problems. So the more things you have, obviously, the better, because they look at the totality of circumstances, but you want to be sure to have enough. And then the other thing, this new case that just came out in March, and it basically says that you have to show from reliable sources that you could not be treated for these medical problems if you go back home, and whether you're going back home or you're staying here. So you need to keep in mind such things as what kind of care does your home country have? In that case, it was Guatemala, and it should have been an easy one, but the judge denied a case where they had 5 U.S. citizen children and 1 permanent resident mother because their testimony was inconsistent on the hardship and they didn't document the hardship or the country conditions. So it's very important to document those things. Usually we use a psychological report. We usually have tons of documentation on the country conditions, medical conditions, doctor's letters. But you could also have the next prong, which is discretion. So discretion, if you have all the above that we just talked about, is things such as you've done great things in the community, you're a respected member of the community, your child is an exceptional child in some area. So all of those things can be put together and you have this beautiful mosaic of pieces that are going to make a great case, and your case will be granted by the judge. And I have done many of these cases, and they are always granted if you do them right, if you have the hardship. Thank you so much for listening today. And I hope that you will be able to use this and see a lawyer and talk to me. You can look on my webpage. There's more information. And also on Facebook Live, I just did a presentation on this. Thank you so much.